Hi, welcome to Fiberchats. My name is Irina. I'm the host here. My guest today is Jennifer McCarthy, and Jennifer is the owner of Felted Bee. Welcome to my channel.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
And we talked about this interview for a while now. I see you at all the local yarn festivals, and your presentation always attracts me because it's just too cute not to, right?
Yeah,
And
thank
you
you.
you only started the Felt It Be in 2019. Tell me a little bit like what was your life before the Felt It Be? What did you do before that?
Yeah, I was a elementary art teacher for 16 years. So, um, doing that, and just kind of like learning about lots of other, like types of artwork, um, kind of brought me to this fiber arts because one of the things in elementary art is kids really love using like their hands and like tactile things. And we would always do like weaving, but then there was like really nothing else like a lot of us knew. And I feel like crochet and like knitting is hard to teach with like a large group at an elementary school. So we were some of the teachers and I were trying to figure out like some other ways to like bring fiber arts into the classroom. So I took a class on needle felting, which you really can't do with like young children, but with like 30 kids in a class. But I just kind of got like hooked about maybe like 10 years ago. I started doing it, and then I was still teaching, and then about 2019, I took a break from teaching and I started like doing needle felting more and like teaching that, and then just kind of grew from there. So
So teaching comes very naturally to you, obviously, and that's part of the Felt It Be. You do a lot of classes, like online classes, but in-person classes as well, and you sell your master classes, right?
yeah, so I do, yep, lots of in person. I used to do a lot of like online classes, especially like during like COVID and things like that. Um, and now like that's kind of like trickled away, which is kind of like sad because it is a good way to learn how to do needle felting, especially because like how I would set up the class, I would have I'd be like talking like one-on-one with people, but then I would also have like the camera down over my hands, and then you can really see like what I'm doing. So it's a really good way, and you don't have to have like a lot of supplies for needle felting either. So it's kind of like a nice, clean, like easy, small, like way to, do something at your home. So like the online classes were awesome. But I do a lot in person, and with my kits, you get like an online tutorial. So I show you how to make the project from start to finish. So um, I do all those, I record all those, and those are coming in all the kits. So you get to have like a little class with me.
I didn't realize that. That's an awesome idea, actually, because when you buy the kit and you have, let's say, a page of instructions, it still might not be exactly clear. But when you see somebody doing it, it's much more helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was kind of like coming up with how I was going to design the kits, like a lot of the kits had like a paper like, you know, booklet or something like that. And I was like, oh, this is nice, but like if you don't know like what you're doing, like it's kind of difficult to understand even with the pictures. And so I think it's kind of like expensive and more like I feel like the paper and printing and stuff's like maybe like kind of wasteful. And it's kind of nice to have like a video because you can like stop it and rewind it and go back. So I just thought that was a more like it's a better way just to teach and less like paper waste.
Well, we were talking briefly about the 10,000 hours of practice that makes you a true master in any field. And I took my first class on felting. I took a couple, but I took my first class on felting back in 2019, ironically enough, at Rhinebeck. And we were making this little penguin. And I remember it was like super fun. And everybody at the end of the class did have a penguin, except not all of them looked like that professional penguin that we were shown at the
Yeah.
beginning. tell me a little bit about like how you were learning and what was your learning experience and how long did it take you to feel like you can teach now people to do it?
So it was so funny. So when I took the class, it was like it was at the Fuller Craft Museum in Brockton, and I walked into the class, and there was just like a green block of foam and a needle, and I pulled the needle out, and I was like, "Oh my God, what did I get myself into?" I was like, "Oh my God!" So, and then the first like we it was like a 2 day like class, and it was like 6 hours each day. I just remember like being like I'm really tired. I don't, but it was at the beginning we just did little like we made like little balls and then she was like, okay, now you can make whatever you want. And I was like, I don't know what I want to make. And she had a book and there was a cupcake in there. So I made the cupcake and I still have it. And I was like, oh, it's kind of cute. And then, we went home. I went home and I was looking online and there really wasn't that much. And that was like it was 2015, I guess.
Mhm.
I feel like there wasn't like a lot online that I could like see. So I ordered the book and, just kept trying different things. I ordered a bunch of like wool um from the place that the woman suggested. And I think it was like a lot of trial and error at first. Because I really didn't have anybody to like go by or really anything. I was just like using the book. And I think I used like the same needle, like one needle, like just for like 2 years. Like I didn't realize that there were like other needles or like that there like different needles could do like different things. So it was a lot of me just like trying like just to figure it out, like just from doing it myself and like making all sorts of like mistakes and things like that. So that, and then I think I saw somebody was asking for like a teacher for like a yarn shop, and I was like, oh, I can do that. And I look back now and I was like, probably shouldn't have been teaching that, but I thought because of my teaching experience and I was like, how hard could it be to like teach other people how to do this? And I definitely have to say, like maybe it was like a year in before I got really like good at what I was teaching.
Do you think it helps the fact that like you're a very artistic person to start with to be a good felting artist? Do you have to be an artist to be good at felting?
I think depending on to like what you're making, like so I like to teach, especially beginner classes, like a cute little penguin or something that's kind of whimsical, because that will lend itself to a greater audience. Like if you've, never done this or you don't feel like you're artistic, um, something that's like cute and whimsical, you can like, make it look kind of silly and it's not like it's not bad or anything. But something like more like if you're trying to get like something really like detailed or make it really look the the object, like a squirrel, for example. Like I think it does take a little bit of artistic like an eye observation. Maybe even I've told people to like take like a sculpting class or take like drawing classes just so you can like train your eye better to um just to kind of understand like maybe what you're making a little bit more because it is really, especially like the sculpture part of it, it is really like sculpture. Um I tell people that like I was like I do have like, an art background, so I do know more about like the art like building of the objects and things like that. So I think like if you were beginning, I would say like do like some like cute things, and then as you get better and more like into it, then I would say like to people like you can do a more like advanced project. But it's just a lot of work, and sometimes I feel like people don't want to put in the work. They just want to do something really quick and then like be done, which is totally fine too. So
Well, I remember being in Italy and seeing an unfinished sculpture by Michelangelo. And so it's a block of marble, and half of it you can see the sculpture, and then the other half is just a continuous block of marble. And
yeah.
to me, that was mind bending because to imagine to have this like super expensive piece of rock and you have to have the vision of what exactly you're trying to get out of this rock. It was just something, I couldn't imagine.
Right.
Is that the same with felting? Because like you have this pile of wool in front of you, and you have to have a vision of how you're gonna get from that point to where you wanna be.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times too, like I'll look, if I want to make something like new that I haven't done before, or whatever, I look at like a ton of photographic examples. Like a lot of the stuff that I do is like animals, and which I couldn't draw an animal to save my life. Like I don't like to do it. I don't want to do it, but I think people like animals, so that's what I make a lot. So when I think I can do it better with sculpture. And when I do, I look at a bunch of pictures and I break down those photographs into like different shapes so that I can like create those little shapes and then put them all together. So that's how I kind of approach kind of whatever I'm making. Like right now, I'm making a sheep. So it's like two little like kind of like egg shapes. So that's how I teach people too, is like break down the shapes, break down the body into like little shapes, and then you can like attach them that way.
Right. How do you decide what pattern you're gonna create? Because is it goes by like what do you think people gonna wanna buy, or is there some sort of inspiration when you go for a walk and you see a sheep and you want to make a sheep?
Yeah, like a little bit of both. And I think too, like the time of year, like right now we're kind of coming out of winter, and like I guess we're still kind of winter, but like we're thinking towards spring. So I'm like, oh, sheep. Like I want to make sheep and like cute little like ducklings and things like that. And then, when like it comes around to like maybe like December, like everybody wants a cardinal, like for like the winter to put on like their Christmas tree or something like that. So it's a lot of that, like seeing what people want. Um, and just being like inspired from like around like what's going on like in the season. So
What do you
usually,
find the most difficult part of this felted sculpture? Because like I was trying one time to make a monkey, crochet monkey, and it turned out to looking like some very angry sheep. So it's like you're trying to achieve one look and then something little, and I think it was just the facial expressions or something that made it completely not a monkey.
yeah,
What do you like, what's your difficulty with the sculptures?
it's true. The have like making faces is really difficult. And like, yeah, trying to make it look like it's cute and not angry and getting it to look kind of right. That's why I usually don't ever make any like people. I always make like animals. The only like kind of people I make are like a mermaid, or like even I don't do like gnomes that often, but or like a Santa Claus, like I'll do a Santa Claus, but I mean most of their face is like covered with a beard. So but even like a mermaid, like you don't want her to look like angry or anything, so trying to get that like face is hard. It's difficult. So yeah, faces are hard.
Or when I started knitting, when I first discovered knitting for myself, I went to my local craft store. I got whatever acrylic yarn they had and whatever size needle I thought looked reasonable, and off I went um,
Yeah.
knitting it. And you can tell now it changed a bit, and my yarn collection grew since then, and my needle collection changed a lot. How was your stash changing, growing, and how does it look now?
I'll send you some pictures so you can put it in afterwards. But yeah, I think I had like a bin full of like wool, and I think too like I would just like have, sometimes I would find stuff or like find things online. But it was hard to get like find good wool to like felt with until I really I really had to like look and like scour the internet like to find like stuff that was good, because that one place that I ordered stuff from a lot like went out of business. So that wool I have from like 10 years ago. I still have it. And like that's my special wool and no one gets to use it. But my so yeah, like I have like bins and things like that, and I'd like order stuff. And then when I got more like just like felting and started doing like the felted bee, I was like going to more like fiber fest and things like that. And I would pick up all sorts of wool and now I have wool for like wet felting and needle felting and um I have like 60 like different like kind of colors that I use a lot. And then there's like I just have like tons of like rando stuff that I've picked up. So I've got like a full like IKEA shelf, like it's like four different like sections. It's just like filled with wool, like just so much. Cause like I use it for my kids and stuff like that. But and I just if I see something cool or whatever, I just like pick it up and I said, oh, what the heck? Like maybe I'll use it for something.
Is there ever time when you look at that wall of wool and there is not the right color there?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And then I've tried like I do want to get into like blending the colors more. Like I do have like a drum carder that I'm like trying to use more for like blending and like mixing wools. But I just haven't had like a ton of time to do that. But also um I would like to like do some like dyeing of like some different wools too, because I think having that would be like nice, like for some of the people that that I work with a lot or like teach a lot. It'd be like fun to have like some like special colors or like make special colors.
Well, if I would talk to you in like 2014 before you took that class, it would probably never occur to you that you're going to have a running business and have all these kits that you're selling and shows that you're attending. It's probably like wasn't in the cards.
Yeah.
And now you dipped your toes into the fiber arts. Do you see yourself switching at some point and stopping felting and going into something completely different?
I don't know. I keep saying like I think I'll just like try to like do this as long as I can like keep it sustainable, like all the kits and things like that and just keep doing it. If people are like buying them and stuff, then I'll like keep doing that. Um but yeah, I think I don't know what I would do after this. But yeah, definitely, I think too having like different ideas of like and more like fibery kind of based um like dreams is good because you can go off into like different directions. So yeah, like maybe like dyeing wool or things like that. So maybe.
Well, we just recently saw each other at New England Fiber Festival, and there was a lot of different kinds of vendors. So when you come to a festival like this and you're one of the vendors and you're setting up and you see like all the other booths around you, is that sort of like another rabbit hole and another rabbit hole that you want to jump into?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've had like people come to my studio and teach like botanical dyeing classes and stuff because I was like, oh, I really want to learn how to do that and like see like, oh, maybe how I could take that and like turn it, use it in like my work, like take like different like botanics and flowers and things like that and then use it to like dye wool. I think that would be like fun. So yeah, I always like look around and see what other people are doing and it's just, and even like meeting people too and getting their ideas. It's like, it's fun to like see what everybody's up to.
Well, Felted Bee is a business, and you have like different parts of that business. There is creations of the kits, there is probably answering the questions, there are classes that you teach, there are videos that you have to film. How do you find time to just sit and felt for your pleasure? And is there like, did you lose that sense of fun and exploration of the felting along the way?
Yeah, I know people ask me, they're like, are you like tired of felting? And I'm like, no, because I have like a list like so long of stuff I want to make that I haven't gotten to yet. So I do have that list. And I do get to like do some things every once in a while that that are like new. So that like keeps it like from like not like hating what I'm doing. And then even like I think it was like last year, like last like Jan I think like March, um, the one of the libraries near me in Norwell, they asked if I wanted, because I would teach there a lot. They asked me if I wanted to do like an art show. So I'm like, ooh, so I took some time just to make a whole bunch of like art just for that show. So that was nice too, because I got to do a bunch of work that I would not have been able to do. And they were just like I made one and then I didn't make any other ones. So they're kind of nice, like one-off pieces.
Does the business part ever stresses you out?
Um, Not too bad, knock on wood. But yeah, I can kind of keep up with it a little bit. And like you do have to learn how to say no to people. Like at the beginning, I was saying yes to like everything, and um, once and two, I don't think I knew where it was going or the direction it was going, and I would just say yes to everything. And then once I kind of got a better idea of what I wanted to do, then it was easier for me to like say no to people. And I think that helped with you know, figuring out like time management and things because I didn't have to do everything all the time. So
Right. Who do you think is your target audience? Like, who do you imagine on the other side of person buying that kit?
yeah, I think for me, a lot of the people that I either um, see in my classes or I kind of see like buying the kits are either people who are like fiber people, so they've like knitting and crocheting and things like that that maybe want to try something new or like, oh, I heard about it. So it's definitely like lots of fiber people or like arty, crafty people that are like, oh, heard about this needle felting. I'm gonna like try it. So and it's mostly like women. And I feel like anytime, anywhere from like, 12 years old to like 90 years old. I get all sorts of different like type of women coming and like doing needle felting. So it's kind of nice. Like I get like a big range of people that are interested in it. Also like teenage sort of like tween boys really like to do it because I think the needle is peeling and stabbing stuff. So I think I think that's like kind of a cute like I love that when the boys come up and like get themselves like a needle felting kit.
Well, talking of stabbing stuff, do you ever stab yourself with the needles?
Yeah, and I used to when I used to do classes, I would say, oh, you might stab yourself or something, and now I just say you're probably gonna stab yourself, so you just be careful. But oh yeah, I do not as much like as before, but lots of times like I'll be needle felting and like talking to people or whatever, and I'm like always like get myself. So I just get like feel like I have like
How
calluses on my fingers.
well, when somebody buys a kit from you, do they need anything else? Or like is the kit self-sufficient for them to make whatever is on the picture of that cover?
Yep. Everything's in there. There's like a block of foam to like work on, three needles, all the wool, and if there's anything else like little eyes or wire or anything like that, like string, that's all in there. And each of the kits comes with an online tutorial. So there's like a little card and it has like the link, or you can like there's a QR code and you can like scan it. And I say too, like people can email me and I'll like send the email like a live link to them so they can click on it. So it's like easy that way.
It's
So it's kind
actually
of
like
nice.
a cool, yeah, it's a cool gift idea. Like if somebody wants to give somebody who haven't tried it yet, or who's somewhat artistic, you can just give it as a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I didn't at first, but now like I kind of like they're like grades. Like I have like absolute beginner and beginner and um, like adventurous beginner, up for a challenge. So I kind of give them like difficulty levels. I didn't do that at first, but now I do. And I think people really like that because they kind of like, oh, I've never done this. So I'm going to try to do like a beginner one. So I think you get like better results that way too. So you're happier with your outcome.
Well, if you had like, let's say, a few months to yourself where you didn't have to do anything else, what kind of challenge would you present to yourself and Felty?
Yeah, I would definitely make some like bigger products, like or some bigger like sculptures. Like everything right now, I think I do is, nothing's like bigger than like a foot. So everything's like pretty small. So I think I would do something like larger or like a life size sort of like animal or something like that. Um, or even something that was like I see as maybe like kind of like a challenge for me. Something I always think I want to do like a horse or like a standing deer because their legs are so skinny that I feel like that's kind of challenging. I always tell people too, I'm like anything with legs is like that's like a more advanced like project. But yeah, anything like and make it like really look like realistic. So
Well, in general, when you think about different kinds of projects, is bigger always more difficult, or sometimes the tiniest things can be like tripping you up with the technique there?
yeah. It's funny because sometimes like bigger things like you are able to um maybe see them more or yeah, I'm thinking like about a deer right now or like a baby fawn and all those little like dots. Like that's kind of when you do it little, like it's so much little like detail work that it is like kind of like annoying to do because it's so teeny. But maybe on like a bigger piece, it wouldn't be so as like it's so difficult. It might be like a little easier to do because it is larger, but sometimes like little things, um, especially like, trying to get into little areas, like it is like difficult, like doing little teeny things. So
What does your family and like your friends think about you changing your career and going from teaching to, well, teaching again, but like completely different thing?
yeah. Um, I think it's funny. Well, I know my husband like is like psyched. He's like, I think it's great because um like I'm much more like happier doing this and um I think like other like family members think like I'm probably kind of crazy for doing this. And I think our like fiber world is like this nice little teeny like kind of closed world. And I don't think people realize like how big it is and how amazing it is and how much like stuff there is going on. Because I feel like if you're not in it, then like you don't know like
That
you're
exists.
not in it. Yeah. And like they're like, how are you doing this? I'm like, it's awesome. Like, it's so great. Um,
And I
but yeah,
remember, like, I was telling a friend that, like, I all my traveling plans for the next 2 months, and he was like, "And it's all for knitting," and I was like, "Yeah." So it's really, I mean, with all the shows that you do, that it's
yeah,
becoming new part of your life suddenly that you discovered.
right. Yeah. I'm like, it's crazy. So I know. And then I keep looking like at more like festivals and stuff like around the United States. And I'm like, ooh, that might be fun to go to. So little by little, we'll see.
Are you ever surprised by your students? Like, do they ever make something and you're like, "Oh, I should have thought of that, and I want to make that."
Yeah, all the time. I love it's like even like in classes and stuff, like people have like some like cute ideas or like put their own little spin on that and I like love it and it's so fun. Even like different ways to like approach the project and like I have like a certain way that I like to you know, make the sculpture. And then someone else will come along and be like, oh, I think we should do it this way. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's nice that way too, because when you're teaching, because you do like you learn from your students. So that's nice.
Well, you mentioned at the beginning of the interview that, like, when you started, there was not too much information on YouTube or online of how to do it.
Right.
That changed? Like, do you see a lot of material that you're learning from now?
Um, it's really feel bad. I don't like I should look more at different like people and what they're making and things like that, but I just feel like I don't. And I feel like I should because there'd probably be really good like lessons for me to like learn and maybe like take some like other classes, but I feel like I'm kind of like set in my ways and I do like my little things and I kind of do like all the same, like all this all the time. And I feel like that's not always great, but I'm like, maybe if I have like a little time, I can take a class or watch some more videos and things.
Well, what do you do when you have a little time? Like, if you don't felt,
Yeah.
what else brings you joy?
So when it's not yucky out, I would like to garden. So that's why I was thinking about like making a dye garden. So I like to be outside, like gardening, going to the beach. Um, I'm right now I'm taking class to be a yoga teacher, so that's like crazy, a lot of time. That's like a lot of time away from like my needle felting and stuff, but that's
And I've heard you also dabble a bit in knitting as well.
yeah. My mom was like an awesome knitter, and I remember being a kid and just being like, she would try to teach me, but I feel like you can't like learn from your family members. And it was always terrible and yucky, and I'm like, I'm never gonna do this. And when I started like needle felting and stuff, I was like, I'm never gonna knit. Like, no. And about like a couple of years ago, like I was like watching you and like then some other people, and I just love like and being at like the Fiber Fest and seeing all the awesome knitting. It's like, oh, maybe I'll try a little bit. So I kind of like taught myself like last summer, just like super basic knitting. But I'll probably never make like anything like like more than a scarf or something.
You're
I'll never
talking.
make a sweater or anything.
No, you know what the funny part? Like, people tell me, "Oh, I only need socks," and I was like, "Socks are not that easy." Like, I mean, there is a lot of things that goes into the socks, and any kind of knitting. Like, the fun fact for everybody who is watching: if you know how to knit and how to purl and how to make yarn over and how to knit two stitches together, you're golden. You can knit absolutely anything. There's like literally six stitches out there, and everything else is a combination of those six. So, like, if you
That's
can make a scarf, you can make a sweater, you can make a hat, you can make anything.
awesome. I'm still working on like my first like real scarf. So once I finish that, maybe I'll see what else I can make. But usually like, I'll do that more like in the summer because I feel like felting in my business kind of slows down in the summer. So it does give me like a little like time to like plan and prep and like do like knitting and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice.
Well, you mentioned that you do dry felting and also wet felting. What's the difference, like, for people who don't know much about felting? And do you have one that you prefer over the other?
Um, I like them both a lot. And I did the dry felting first. And then I've taken like a bunch of classes in wet felting. And I do like the wet felting a lot. And I always tell people that like wet felting is like the traditional way to make felt. Because it's soap and water, and then you lay out like your wool, and then you're using the soap to kind of get the wool to kind of attach a little bit better, and then the water like will help bind the wool, and you have to use your hands as like the agitation. Like the needle and dry felting is like your hands and the agitation in wet felting. So it's much more physical. And a lot of people are like, oh, I want to learn how to do that. And I was like, you know, you're going to leave and your whole body's going to hurt. Like your back hurts, like everything. So But I do like wet felting because you can make like scarves and hats and like bowls and like kind of like 3D um things that they're fun. And it's like you can make mix like different like fibers like silk and like viscose, and it's nice like to kind of play around with those fibers and see like what happens. And it's fun to make like scarves and stuff like that. So I do like them both. I just
You
don't
know,
have as much time to do the wet felting.
there's this funny meme going around the Instagram that says, knitting takes 27 muscles, and I love fitness. And it's funny because, like, when we think about fiber arts, we don't think about it as something physical. You think about somebody just sits there and does something, but like felting both of those, I mean, wet felting specifically, like, that's a lot of physical work there.
Yep, it is. And I do sometimes like people will come up to me and they're like, "Oh, I want to do this." I'm like, "You realize it takes like 6 hours to make a scarf?" And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, like even just laying out the colors and like the fabric, like to create like the fabric design, like just even that, like laying that out, like takes a while, and then you have to actually like do the felting." So it does take a little while. And I usually, when I do teach those classes, like a scarf class, I usually start with like a piece of like pre-felt, so it doesn't take as long, but it usually does take like 4 or 5 hours to make. So
Right, right. Well, tell me your vision for your business. Like, do you think you gonna make it grow wider? Do you think you wanna teach some instructors for your business to how to teach classes? Like, do you have any plans for the future?
I guess like right now, I'm just kind of like chugging along. Um, I just moved into like a new studio space that has like two separate like rooms. So I'm hoping to like have more of a kind of like a retail presence there in this space. So like the one area is gonna be like the retail, and then the other place will be more like workshops and like just like where I keep all like the supplies. Um, and maybe having like more people come there. I'm usually going around to a lot of places, um, but maybe having that too, and having maybe more people come to me, then I could probably like expand in some different ways. But like right now, I think like it's good. It's keeping me busy. So I think if it did slow down, or if really like I got tons of orders or something like that, then like maybe I would have to like hire some people or train some people to go out and expand a little bit.
Have you ever considered doing felting retreats?
Oh yeah. That'd be fun.
That would be totally fun. I would come.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that'd be fun. Like at a, and two, I would think like that would be great to go to like a farm or something, like go to like someone's like farm, and then you can hang out there and be with the sheep and have wool, and that'd be fun.
You
Good
should.
idea, right?
Yeah. Well, it was such a pleasure to have you on my channel, Jennifer. And, I'm sure I'll see you soon again at some local festival. And I hope you're going to put that retreat together and I might come to that.
That'd be great. I'd love that.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
being my
you.
guest today.